Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the bounciest cushioning setups that you can get right now for basketball shoes, right? So, as far as cushioning setup goes, Zoom is literally the bounciest cushioning setup that you can get. There's really nothing else that compares to Zoom. It's just an airbag that's filled with air with fibers in it to keep it like a very flat shape. You know, if you fill a plastic bag up with air, it'll ball up, you know? So that's why Nike Zoom has fibers in it to keep it flat and uniform in shape so that, you know, they can fit it inside the shoe, right? As far as foams go, there's really nothing that's super bouncy, like comparing it to Zoom. I mean, like there's React. I feel like, in my opinion, React is the bounciest foam that you can get. There's others like the Boom Cushion. Boom Cushion also has a nice rebound back. I'd say even Light Strike a little bit. But other than that, every other foam is more like on the softer side of things, especially comparing it to Zoom. So most of these shoes are gonna have Zoom units in it. So if you guys do want to cop any of these shoes, I'll leave a link in the description box, but let's get started off with the KD14. And Nike's been killing it with Zoom Strobel, replacing the Strobel board with a Zoom unit so that, you know, as you guys know, Strobel boards, you know, they glue it down. It makes the foam, like on top of the foam, like really stiff because of that glue. So when you put your foot on top of it, you don't really feel like that foam, you know? But because Zoom is mostly just plastic, they can replace that Strobel board with a Zoom unit, which they've done. And it's literally Zoom right underneath your foot. It's just that insole that's kind of like in there. I guess you can take it out if you want. But anyways, yeah, that Zoom unit feels incredibly bouncy. It feels awesome. It's super comfortable as well. If you wear it for a very long time, it can get a little like annoying because of that pressure constantly on top of your foot. So it does hurt a little bit after wearing it. Like if you're walking around for a long time, it's gonna get a little uncomfortable. But other than that, if you're playing ball, it's really good for impact protection, gives you good responsiveness because it is bouncy. It also keeps you pretty low to the ground because I didn't really have to put a whole lot of foam or anything inside of the shoe because the Zoom unit gives you good impact protection. So the KD14 feels super nice, but also you have that full-length cushion, but the cushion is like more on the softer side of things, right? So I would say on this list, because of that foam, you're not going to feel as bouncy as the other shoes on this list, but the cushion is still a very nice touch, especially for impact protection. Alright, next we got the Lebron 18, and I'm going to have to say this is the craziest cushioning setup that you can get on this list. You have a full-length Zoom unit pretty much right underneath your foot. It feels very bouncy. It feels a little bit different from the Zoom Strobel unit because it's not articulated, right? So as you guys can see, the Zoom Strobel unit has a good amount of articulation. The Lebron 18 does not, so that like when you're like kind of running and doing heel dominant strides, running down the court, you can kind of feel the air kind of moving with the movement of your foot. It feels super nice, very bouncy. And also you have that Air Max unit in the heel. It has a lot of compression, but also has a little bit of rebound back. So all of that combined gives you a very nice bouncy sensation. Gives you very good impact protection as well, but just keep in mind you are pretty high, or actually very high up off the ground, so court feel is pretty bad. And also the lateral stability isn't the best because of that Air Max unit in the heel. But other than that, the Lebron 18 has a very good bounce. Alright, next we got the GT Cut. The GT Cut is like one of my favorite cushioning setups as well. So you have a full length drop-in React midsole, and that feels really nice. It's pretty damn thin though, so you're not gonna feel a crazy amount of compression or anything, but it still feels nice. It's obviously better than like having a Strobel board, not being able to feel React or whatever foam is underneath your foot, right? So pretty much your foot is right on top of like pure React, right? So that feels nice. And then you have a full-length Zoom Strobel unit right underneath that. It feels very bouncy. Just keep in mind the midsole in the heel is a little clunky because the midsole is not exposed at all. But other than that, it's a very nice low to the ground bouncy cushioning setup. Next, we got the Cosmic Unity. Same thing, you know, you got the Zoom Strobel unit. I mean, if you have a Zoom Strobel unit in your shoe, it's gonna feel very bouncy and very responsive, right? So the Cosmic Unity, I would say, feels a little bit more responsive as far as the cushioning setup goes, comparing it to the KD14, because the KD14 has that cushion, right? The Cosmic Unity uses crater foam, which is like recycled foams, but it's really stiff. So you don't really get a whole lot of compression or anything. from the actual foam. So because of that, it's probably not going to feel like as mushy. I mean, the KD14 doesn't feel mushy. It just feels like more soft. But because of that, like if you're heavier or you want a responsive cushioning setup, the KD14 is not going to feel as responsive as the Cosmic Unity. But like I said, Zoom's treble unit in the Cosmic Unity feels very bouncy and very, very nice. Alright, moving on to the next shoe, we got the Lebron Soldier 14. It's using a forefoot and heel Zoom setup. It feels like it's top loaded Zoom and feels very, very bouncy, you know, and a lot of shoes don't have like that forefoot Zoom combo, and also a lot of shoes, even if they do have a top loaded Zoom unit, it's not as easy to feel as a LeBron Soldier 14 for some reason. So if you like a more subtle Zoom setup but still want to feel pretty bouncy, the LeBron Soldier 14 is a very, very nice setup. All right, next we got the Jordan 35. We have a very large volume Zoom unit in the forefoot. It's super bouncy. You don't really need to break it in either. So when you're doing like a first step move, you know, out of the triple threat, you feel very, very quick and very explosive because of that Zoom unit. You also have a very large volume Zoom unit in the heel with a the foam. It compresses a little bit. It's definitely a lot better than the Jordan 34 was. The Jordan 34 had absolutely no compression. The 35, I feel like they improved the foam just a tiny bit and made it a little bit softer, but you can still feel the Zoom unit in the heel. It's just like you don't feel it right underneath your foot like in the forefoot in the Jordan 35. But still, if you want a very, very bouncy cushioning setup, especially in the forefoot, the Jordan 35 is a very good option. And then last but not least, if you want something a lot more mellow than the Jordan 35, you can go with the Kyrie 7. The Kyrie 7, the cushioning setup in the heel sucks. You know, it's just a little bit of compression. The foam is pretty much just a Phylon, not super nice. But in the forefoot, you do have a Zoom turbo unit. It's articulated as well, so it's just not as bouncy as the Jordan 35. But like I said, if you want something mellower than the Jordan 35, the Kyrie 7 is a good option. You do need to break it in a little bit, but once you do, you're gonna feel a nice bouncy sensation in the forefoot. It's just a little subtle bounce though. But anyways, that about wraps up this video. If you guys do want to cop any of these shoes, I'll leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.